Slapshot Podcast, episode number 109. I'm your host, Christopher Morais. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Just walk on in, grab yourself a seat, grab yourself a beverage and a snack. We are going to have the best Monday on the face of the earth. I'm at least having the best Monday ever. You might not be, but it's not about you right now. It's about me. It's about the Montreal Canadiens. It's about the jam-packed show that we got today. I mean, listen, I'm having a good time here. Having a good time. I even got my Habs jersey on just for good measure here. Whoa. What an absolute weekend. I have healed. I've come back down. I'm not going to lie. It was a little stressful, but we made it. Lots to talk about today in this episode. Lots of things we got to get to. We're not even going to have time to get to certain things. Like, we're not going to be able to talk about the Devils have a new general manager, the absolute show that's going on in Toronto. They hired Matt Sundin. They hired John Chaika. The reaction, Steve Simmons' question. We don't have time to get to all that. We got to recap the first round and everything that went on. And then I got to give you my predictions for the second round, which has already started, but it's okay. We're going to get to it because the NHL couldn't wait to start the second round. But before we get to all that, as always, if you have found yourself in here by accident, I appreciate you being here. Go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell on YouTube, drop a like while you're there, maybe a comment. Tell me your picks for the second round. Maybe you enjoy listening to the podcast instead. Head over to Slapshot Podcast on X, hit the link tree. You can find the podcast in all of its audio forms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, right? Do so. The Instagram as well. Check out the TikTok. All those fun things. Follow me on X at FuzzyChris91. Now, let's recap the first round. All right, got them all here. My picks were to the left. The results are to the right. This is going to shock some of you. Sit down. Okay, are you sitting? I didn't get them all right in the first round. Swing and a miss, but good news is I can get them all right in the second round, though. Doesn't matter. We keep going, right? We're going to recap all the things that happened in the first round here. Some of them we're going to breeze by because it really doesn't matter. Others of them we're going to talk about a little bit more in detail. Let's start with the Colorado Avalanche. I had them winning in 5. Guess what? Very efficient of the Avalanche. They beat the Kings in 4. It went exactly as I thought it would go for the LA Kings. There was this old clip that resurfaced on X where it's, I think it's Daryl Sutter when he's like having to face, when he was a member of the Flames, like having to face Colorado. It's just a waste of 8 days. And that's exactly what it was for the Kings. They kept some of those games closer than I think a lot of people thought. But there was just not enough offense for the LA Kings. They were good defensively. They hung around, but in the end, you have to score goals to win hockey games. Kings could do that. Colorado just breezed by them. Anze Kopitar, unfortunately, that's the end of his career. He was retiring. He had himself an amazing career. Let's not get it twisted. First ballot Hall of Famer, of course. Maybe this series is a little bit different with a guy like Kevin Fiala in it. Do I think he moves the needle enough for them to win? No. The Kings should have never been there to start with. If it wasn't for all the overtime losses that they racked up, helping them get to where they are and how weak the Pacific was. But hey, listen, they made the dance. They got to sell 2 home games, right? Games 3 and 4. They got some ticket sales out of it, but in the end, absolutely irrelevant. Next, Minnesota at 7. That's who I had over Dallas. Guess what? They took care of business quick as well. Minnesota at 6. Listen, that series was great. It was great. I would have loved to have seen an extra game. It was exactly as we thought it would go. The Dallas Stars had the right pieces in place, but ultimately they were missing a little bit, right? Jake Ottinger wasn't elite, and that showed. Whereas I think Jesper Wallstedt was as expected. Dallas has depth. Problem is Rupe Hintz again hurt. I don't think the supporting cast was as good. Defensively, they were They were all right. It's just Minnesota was on a whole other different level. We saw what I believe, like I already know that Matt Boldy is a superstar, but he demonstrated it in that first round. The amount of offense he was able to generate against, again, the Dallas Stars were a good team. There's no walk in the park. They were a good team, but Minnesota proved that they were the better team. All the additions that Bill Guerin went out to do played a factor. Yes, Foligno was that the biggest factor? No. But Quinn Hughes paid dividends. That's why you trade for a guy like Quinn Hughes and you worry about whether he wants to stick around later, right? Even the addition of Michael McCarron, he was very good at that fourth line role. So the additions needed to get past Dallas by Bill Guerin were there. Good for the Minnesota Wild for doing their part. We'll see what the second round holds. That's already started. We'll get to that a little bit later. I did get one right. One exact perfect. I did predict the first two, so those were 2 for 2. I got this one exact on the dot. Vegas in 6. They beat the Utah Mammoth. First off, Utah was like the atmosphere and everything going on in Utah was great. The Zamboni being the Mammoth, just like it's nice to see leadership and ownership, right? Ryan Smith and the gang, like the vibes were immaculate in Utah. And I don't think this will be the last time we see them in the playoffs in the near future. Like, unfortunately for them, they ran into a very good Vegas team. And it wasn't always perfect for the Golden Knights, but a team that knows how to win, right? We'll see what the second round holds for them. I thought Carter Hart held his ground just enough to make it worthwhile. He's going to have to be better, though. And on the other side, listen, this is still a young Utah team. Like, we forget that. They went out, they added some pieces. Having Mackenzie Weegar be there is obviously good for the team. It's good for their defense. Do I want to see a little bit more out of Karel Vejmelka? Probably. He had himself a good year if you count wins, but the outline numbers were not great. But again, it's a good building block for them. I mean, kudos to the entire franchise and everything. They pushed. They wanted to be there. That was a tough Central Division. Really tough. And they had a chance to get out of it. And I think they gave Vegas, the exact run for their money. But veteran leadership at that time, you could see that it was missing a little bit. It was lacking for the Mammoth. But again, it's not a disappointing year. If you're a Mammoth fan, it's not a disappointment. This was a much needed learning curve. They're going to come back better next year. And again, a division that should be extremely hard to win. This one, oh, baby. I had the Edmonton Oilers in 6, and the Anaheim Ducks were like, not on my watch. Anaheim closed out the series in 6. McDavid and Draisaitl are not going back to the dance for a third year in a row. Listen, if I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan, I'm definitely concerned. And if you listen to the exit interviews from Draisaitl and McDavid, they don't sugarcoat it, right? Like they basically said it. Things got to be better. Everybody's got to be better. And to a certain extent, he's not wrong. Like him and Draisaitl are not wrong, right? They weren't good enough. Now, we found out that Connor McDavid was dealing with a fracture in his foot. And we could tell because you could see as the series went on, he didn't have that explosion, right? Like McDavid is elite because of the speed. Everything else is great. But what sets him in a league of his own is the speed that he has. And he didn't have it after game 2, which is when he suffered the injury, I believe. So, like, he was good. Let's not get it twisted. A 80% Connor McDavid is 110% for every other player. That's great. You know what I mean? But evidently, Edmonton did not have the goaltending, right? Connor Ingram was statistically the worst goalie in that first round. in terms of goals saved above expected. He was the worst. Couldn't make a save. Saw Tristan Jarry, the controversial overtime goal. Like, it doesn't matter at the end. Anaheim came out and did exactly what they wanted to do. They generated so many chances. And, again, Edmonton's blue line is not good enough. The goaltending's not good enough. The blue line's not good enough. There wasn't enough offensive depth to pick up the slack for what McDavid wasn't able to do. Here we are. So I don't know what happens to the Edmonton Oilers in the offseason, but listen, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Connor McDavid does have 2 years. So his new 2-year deal starts this year. So I don't know where we go from here, but there's got to be some improvements in Edmonton, or a homie could take his stuff and leave, right? McDavid's not 20 anymore. I'm pretty sure he's what? Is he over 30? Like, he's right there-ish. He's not a child anymore. He wants to win. We'll see if he can do it at Edmonton or if he takes his talent somewhere else. But listen, that was on the West. I went 3 for 4 in the Western Conference, which is pretty good. And then it goes downhill once I got to the East. All right. This was the only one I got right here. Again, I had Buffalo in 7. They took care of business in 6. Good for the Buffalo Sabres. Listen, they were the better team right from the get-go. I thought Boston just didn't play the way they should have played. They were just, it lacked at times. And the beating they took on home ice was like, that was the writing on the wall after that, because it's hard to come back from that. Yes, they go out. Yes, they win game 5, but at that point, it doesn't matter, right? David Pasternak's overtime goal was great. I thought Pasta had himself a great series. It's just the rest of the gang wasn't able to keep up, right? Zadorov had, an MCL tear, right? That came off the bone. He was basically worrying through that series. But again, the depth for Boston wasn't there. And, there's only so many things Jeremy Swayman can do, right? He can't score goals. And his team just left him out to dry on a couple of occasions. They should have had that, right? Their absolute collapse when they're leading 2-0 in game 1, I believe. Like, you can't do that. And listen, kudos to Lindy Ruff, who was nominated as a finalist for the Jack Adams Coach of the Year, as he should. They started with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. It wasn't great. They turned to Alex Lyon, and, he rights the ship, and here we go. He takes off with it. And, that's a tough change to make for a team that obviously doesn't have a ton of experience in the playoffs. But it was the right move to get the guys going, and they took care of business the exact way they should. They punched home ice advantage again in the second round. So good for them. Good for the fans of Buffalo, man. The vibes are immaculate there. The vibes are up. So good on the Buffalo Sabres and that team. It's going to be a crazy second round again. We'll get to that later. This one I got, there's wrong and then there's me. I had Ottawa in 6. It was Carolina in 4. It just, if you're an Ottawa Senators fan, I don't know where you go from this. Because in no world should Brady Tkachuk and I have the same amount of points in the first round, which is 0. Brady didn't have a point. I think Tim Stützle had 1. But, the Ottawa Senators were so bad at generating offense. They made Frederik Andersen look like a Vezina Trophy goalie. And listen, I know Anderson has a ton of experience and he's a veteran goalie. He had an absolutely terrible season. Let's not get it twisted. He was not good. The only reason Carolina is here is because of Brandon Bussey, and he's not starting. So they were just the Senators are just unable to generate any offense. Nothing. And listen, a lot of people owe Linus Ullmark an apology because he was fantastic in that round. Fantastic. He's the only one who showed up. He's the reason that series wasn't an absolute gong show. And that's saying something because it finished in 4. But, like, that franchise, the Senators franchise, has to dig in here and find out what they want to do. Because they put up a fight against the Leafs last year, and then they come out with this performance, and, the same leadership group is there, right? So where do we go from here? But that was just a terrible performance. Wasn't great. Didn't look good. I'm just happy I'm not an Ottawa Senators fan because it was embarrassing. That was the series I watched the Leafs. Not because it finished in 4, but because it was just suffocating to watch Ottawa try to do anything. Carolina they did whatever they wanted from the initial puck drop all the way until the last one. Good for them. The Hurricanes look like a wagon. That's going to be a problem. Speaking of problems, listen. It says I had Pittsburgh in 6. Sorry, I made a typo here. It says Philadelphia in 7. They did not go to 7. They went to 6. I just expected a little bit more from the Pittsburgh Penguins, a veteran team that knows how to win. And we didn't get it. They were down 3-0, right? You're down 0-3 in a series. It's not a good way to start. And yeah, they clawed back a little bit, but you're starting so far behind. The Flyers, they struggled to generate offense, but they got to Stuart Skinner and through typical Flyer hockey, right? Get to the net, make life difficult for Stuart. And I'm not going to put this on Stuart Skinner in any way, shape, or form. He's not the reason they lost that series. Shelovs came in and played well. But at that point, Dan Muse, also finalist, Coach of the Year, made a choice, and he ran with it. And I think just the supporting cast around wasn't there like they were during the regular season. And maybe the veterans on that team, all of them put together, and the experience, it just wasn't enough to go up against the kids. I don't know. But like, can you look at the Pittsburgh season and go, it's a disappointment? I mean, you can, but to me, I don't think it is. Some of you had Pittsburgh making the playoffs. I get it. I thought that would be a little bit more challenging, but Kyle Dubas put together a good team. The asset management is there. And one day, the core that we've been looking at for the longest period of time won't be there, right? Crosby, Malkin, Letang. Like, one day that core is going to have to move on, and the rebuild's going to be long. Do I think we're there yet? As long as Sidney Crosby's on your team, you have a chance to win because he will not tolerate being terrible. But, kudos to the Flyers. Great goaltending. Dan Vladar stood tall. Defensively, they were good. They got the timely offense they needed. They came away with it. So, give them credit. They did their part. We'll see what they can do in the next round. Now, time for my favorite part here. The Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Listen, I picked Tampa Bay in 7, and I had said it, though. I said, I hope I'm wrong. And I was hoping it would finish before. Now, Montreal took care of business in 7. Having said that, for all the reasons I worried about this game, about having to go to Game 7, they were there, okay? Like, the whole world knows how many shots the Montreal Canadiens had in the second period of Game 7, right? We all know, right? Exactly. Yeah. Not zero. Nada. Yeah, that was the worst period of hockey I've ever seen. It was just like they couldn't establish anything. And yet, again, they found a way to win. Sometimes I'd rather be lucky than good at hockey. And we saw that. This was a battle from start to finish. Exactly as we thought it would be. I don't think anybody on the Tampa Bay side or on the Montreal side thought this was going to be easy. And the Canadiens had multiple opportunities to go up in this series and steal it, and didn't happen because Tampa Bay, a team that, again, veteran team that knows how to win. It wasn't perfect on their end, right? Nikita Kucherov, once again, Game 7 shows up and pulls a Houdini and disappears. No show. And again, when the Montreal Canadiens need their captain, Nick Suzuki, to step up, of course he does. That Game 7 was probably one of his best games. He gets the tip. You saw him out there throwing his weight, winning his battles. The Montreal Canadiens did a lot of good things against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Their defensive game was great. I know this is tough for Arbor Xhekaj. I know it is. And pulling him out of the lineup for Game 7 was the right choice for Noah Dobson. There's nobody else that could have come out. Stop saying Matheson. Stop saying Carrier. Okay? That was not a reality. We know this. It was either Struble or Xhekaj, and it's Xhekaj who got the cut. And again, Struble and Xhekaj are them collectively, their presence and the way they played in this series is a big reason why the Canadiens move forward. The same thing with Montreal's bottom six. For all the talk about the Habs' top six being unable to generate any type of offense, 5-on-5, the bottom six did their part. You win games because of your bottom six or those depth guys that show up. You want your best players to elevate their game, and there's a whole other level for guys like, Slafkovsky had a great game. Yes, his hat trick is nice. Everything went downhill a little bit after that. Cole Caulfield it was tough for him that series. It was extremely tough. I think he'd be the first to say it. But in typical Montreal Canadiens fashion, a goalie comes to save the day. Jakub Dobej, it felt like it could be intimidating. He went up against Andrei Vasilevsky, and not only did he go, he stayed with him, band for band, he exceeded him. I don't think Vasilevsky was great in this series. I think he was elite when he needed to be. That Game 7's not on him. And the only reason we get to Game 7 is because of the Game 6 performance that he had. Right? Tampa Bay didn't do him any favors in Game 6. But this was, again, a chess match from start to finish between Marty St. Louis and John Cooper, and the matchups and everything. You could see both coaches trying to find space for their top players. And it was a grind, man. It was a grind. But as a fan, I think I lost at least 3 years of my life due to stress. My heart rate has never been higher. I was checking my Apple Watch and I was like, man, is my resting heart rate supposed to be 110? That doesn't sound or look good. You know what I mean? But again, the Montreal Canadiens came out. They did their thing. Is this series different if Victor Hedman's able to play? Maybe. The addition of Noah Dobson, he had a fantastic Game 7, I would say. Because that is so hard to come in not 100% in a do-or-die game and have to play. He played under 20 minutes, which is okay. But he still had to go out there and do his part. But this was a collective effort, right? Again, it wasn't the best Game 7. For all those reasons is why I was worried getting there. But, again, teams find a way to win. They don't ask you how, they ask you how many. And the Montreal Canadiens were the first team in that series to win 4 games. Now, do they need a better effort in the next round? You better believe it, because it's not going to get easier, right? It's not going to get easier. If you think Buffalo is a lesser opponent than Tampa Bay, boy, do I have a beachfront property in Saskatchewan with your name on it, because that's just not true. Are they better? That's up for debate. But they certainly aren't worse. At worst, they're just as good as Tampa Bay in their own way, right? Tampa has their strengths, they have their weaknesses. Buffalo has their strengths, they have their weaknesses. But again, do not take them lightly, because that's the worst thing you can do. But that is the recap of the first round. I went 4 for 8. It's not perfect. It's not terrible, man. It's better than the Ottawa Senators, right? It's better than the Ottawa Senators, all right? But we do have to do. Let's move on here. Let's talk about the second round. All right, this is everything happening in the second round. Okay, these are the 4 matchups here: Colorado, Minnesota, Vegas, Anaheim, Buffalo, Montreal, Carolina, Philadelphia. Without further ado, let's move on to the first matchup. First matchup here is the Colorado Avalanche and the Minnesota Wild. All right, so how is this going to go? Well, Colorado's up 1-0 to start. If you fell asleep after the Habs game, you missed it. You missed one because we went from no goals being scored in a series to just an absolute bomb amount. Like, when I saw a 9-6 finish, I was like, what in the absolute world happened here? Now, I was like, hey, this is going to be a low-scoring game, under 6 goals. Let me put a little lunch money on that. That was gone. That was gone. I hadn't even fallen asleep yet. It was already gone. But this series is absolute bananas. I don't think we're going to see a high-scoring game like that every game because I don't think, my heart certainly can't handle it. I can't imagine the fan bases for both those teams enjoying it. I can't imagine any coach walked out of that game going, boy, that was a nice one. No, it was exciting from a fan perspective, but it was not exciting from a coach perspective, right? That was an absolute series. I have Colorado in 6. I had Colorado in 6 even before they won this game, right? The Minnesota Wild are good. Let's not get it twisted. I think they can push this series a little bit more. Not with that performance from yesterday, but you're never in trouble until you lose a game at home, right? That's the old saying. Said it last pod. Say it this pod again, all right? You're never in trouble until you lose a game at home. The problem is Colorado's a pretty good team on the road, too. Do I expect the Minnesota Wild to walk into Denver and come out with a win? No. And judging by how things went last night, that seems like it's an impossible task. But Colorado's got to tighten things up. Scott Wedgwood's got to play a lot better. Minnesota's got to hound in and make sure they don't give, McKinnon, Makar, Natchez, even Landeskog, all these guys room to operate. They're thin down the middle. Joel Eriksson-Ek did not play game 1. He's not going to play game 2. They're thin down the middle, the Wild. They get even thinner. So, sounds like Colorado exploited that in game 1. They could do it in game 2. I just think that the way the Avalanche played, the way the season they've had, the pace that they go at, nobody can match it. So, I have Colorado in 6. We'll see if that holds true, but so far they are off to a fantastic start. That was a crazy first game. I'm excited to see what the next game holds. Next, Vegas and Anaheim. Okay. Let's just say this right off the rip, okay? I'm just going to take a moment to talk about the Anaheim Ducks first, okay? Now, again, this is a fantastic moment for the Anaheim Ducks and their fans, okay? Fantastic. The young team, they get past the Oilers. All of that is handy dandy, okay? Let's just talk about reality for a minute, Anaheim fans. And listen, you don't want to hear this, but tough love is coming, okay? They might get smacked around against Vegas. You might have to call PETA because it's going to be a beating against a Duck. The Vegas Golden Knights, I'm not saying they're the most elite hockey team on the face of the earth, but the Anaheim Ducks got past an Oilers team that was terrible defensively, okay, with the worst goaltending performance possible, okay? And Lucas Dostal was the second worst, by the way. Dostal, his goals against average in the playoffs, I think is what, 371 with a sub-900 save percentage. And they won in 6. I'm not going to say they got lucky because the Ducks, in whatever world, deserve to be there. That they played in the Pacific. It is what it is. And they beat the Oilers fair and square. They played well. Like, on home ice, they were good. They generated shots. They took advantage of what was in front of them. I'll give them that. But Vegas is not Edmonton. Vegas is well structured. They are deep. This isn't the Edmonton Oilers, man, that got McDavid and Draisaitl. Be it the top 2 players in the world. I get it. Vegas is deep. Eichel is great. Stone, when healthy, is great. Marner had himself a game 6. He's good. Hurdle. Borfiev. The back end, really good as well. There are lots of ways the Vegas Golden Knights can beat you. And the Ducks are a young team, and they're going to learn that pretty quick. And if Lucas, listen, I'm not saying Carter Hart had himself a fantastic first round, because he most certainly didn't. But if Lucas Dostal doesn't figure it out, again, like, we're cooked. We're having duck for supper. I have Vegas in 5 because I can't see the Ducks figuring it out. At least from a goaltending standpoint. I don't think they figure it out. Because, again, the Edmonton Oilers didn't have a deep offense. Like, it wasn't something to be scared of. And then with McDavid being unable to dominate the way that he usually does, like, Dostal still got hosed. Like, he's got to be better. Defensively, I think the Ducks will have to tighten up. But can they do it? That's the question. Can they do it? I think the young talent is going to be there. They're going to charge. They're going to press. But when it comes time to defend in their own zone, all 5 of them, I think a very good Golden Knights team with a John Tortorella as the coach is going to make life extremely difficult for them. Extremely difficult. I don't think they have it. The Ducks have veteran forwards on that team and defensemen, John Carlson being there. We'll see if Radko Gudas can get back in the lineup. Chris Kreider, Cale Brown, all great players. But I just don't think they're going to be able to figure it out defensively. And I do not trust Lucas Dostal one bit. Not after what I saw in that first round. You can say what you want about Carter Hart. Wasn't pretty. But the team in front of him can give him enough support to make a difference. I don't think Anaheim can do the same. So, I have Vegas in 5. Maybe I'm wrong. Or I'm 100% correct. We'll find out in a couple of weeks. Not even a couple. It's going to be like 10 days instead. We'll find out in 10 days. All right? You can come back to me. Next on the docket, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Philadelphia Flyers. This could be another quick series. I will give the Philadelphia Flyers one game. They got to win one at home. They have no choice, really. But, man, it was not good. It was not good against the Carolina Hurricanes. Just a quick, easy breeze, 3-0 win. It's not that the Flyers played poorly. It's just the lack of offense showed and their inability to make life for Freddie Anderson difficult. We saw the Senators be unable to do it. And I guess their team has a ton of flaws, right? I'm not saying it. That's my assumption. We saw the Flyers be able to get to the front of the net and make Stuart Skinner's life difficult. We didn't see any of that in game 1. Nothing. Anderson is, listen, I don't know who needs to hear this. Listen to me carefully. Freddie Anderson is not a good goalie. He's not. But when your team in front of you is so good, the structure that Rob Brendamore has, that second line, right, of Stankoven, Hall, and Blake are tearing it up. I tweeted that maybe the Carolina Hurricanes won the Mikko Rantanen trade. It's possible because of what Logan Stankoven is doing. We knew he was going to be good. It feels like he's hitting his stride right now. And then you got Sebastian Aho on the other side, Jordan Stahl down the middle. This is a deep team. Really deep. The Carolina Hurricanes are not to be messed with. It doesn't matter how terrible Frederik Andersen is. If you can't get to the net, it doesn't make a difference. If you can't generate chances, who cares? You're not going to score anything. The Flyers they need to have a much better game 2. Whether they win or not is irrelevant, right? Again, you're never in trouble until you lose a game at home. So even if they go down 0-2, head back to Philly, it's fine. You just got to do your job. It's a tough one, but you got to do your job. But you got to make life difficult and get to the net and get a little bit nasty. You know what I mean? Like the Travis Konechny's of the world got to get involved. The Porter Matone's got to get involved. We got to send stuff to the net. Right? Big bodies as well on the back end. Make life difficult for their top players as well. I keep hearing about, Suzuki's small and stuff like that, and, Cole Caulfield is small. But, like, Logan Stankoven's not 6'4", by the way. You can make life difficult for those players as well. Rub them up on the body and everything. But you got to get to Freddie Anderson. You'll figure it out, Flyers. I think you at least figure it out once. I don't know if you'll figure it out more than that. I can't go Hurricanes in 6 because I don't see Philadelphia winning both games at home, and I most certainly don't see them winning on the road. So here we are. But the Hurricanes put on a masterclass in how things should go. So I'm giving them the edge here, as they deserve. This is a well-coached team, man. I don't want it to be a breeze, because then they're going to be sitting well-rested for whoever meets them in the conference final. But, man, it's tough for the Flyers. But again, just watch whatever the Ottawa Senators did in the first round and do the exact opposite. You should be fine. I just don't know if they have enough leadership to get it done. This is still a young team as well. And Matvei Mishkov was in and out of the lineup. Maybe he needs a little bit more seasoning before he's able to take over. I don't think a lot of people thought the Philadelphia Flyers would be here. They made it. This is a good learning opportunity for them. But they have their hands full with the Hurricanes. I don't know if they come out on top. All right? But hey, good luck trying, Flyers fans. I'm not really behind you. Next, my favorite one. It's the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens. Welcome in, Buffalo. Hey, listen, you're new here. Welcome to the playoffs. You did your part against the Boston Bruins. I thought you could. I did. I thought you could. And you did. You most definitely did. Let's not get it twisted. I have the Montreal Canadiens in this one. I have them in 6. Now, I know some of you are going to say, oh, you're a homer. Listen to me. Did we not see what I said about round 1? I'm clearly able to analyze and be impartial when needed. Okay? I was afraid of what Tampa would do if they got to Game 7. It happened. It's just the hockey gods rewarded the Canadiens for all the work they did before that. Okay? If the Montreal Canadiens come out and play the exact same way against the Buffalo Sabres, they will have success. Okay? The Buffalo Sabres are new to the playoffs. They've been here in over a decade. Okay? As good as they were against Boston, Boston is not Montreal. Don't have to tell you that. The Montreal Canadiens demonstrated they haven't hit their peak yet. So imagine when they do. Okay? That bottom 6 was good. It kept them in. And the Montreal Canadiens paid attention to the details that mattered to win. A very Marty St. Louis way to play. Okay? Their defense, the Canadiens, their hybrid defense seemed to have worked. Right? Yes, Hagel got his opportunities. Yes, Gensel got his opportunities. Kucherov to a certain extent. But they mitigated that bottom 6. And the Sabres are a big boy team. And they are going to play like a big boy team. The Canadiens proved that they can hang with the rough and tough. Remember those first 2 games in the Tampa series? There was a lot of nasty in it. So the Montreal Canadiens proved that they could be tough. They got that swagger. They got that belief, that team belief that they can do it as a pack, literally as a pack. The Wolf, and then Marty St. Louis' speech at the end there, the Wolf of Wall Street, They believe that they can do it. I do think the Montreal Canadiens have the edge in goal. I can't get it twisted, right? Can't get it twisted. I'm not giving that edge to Alex Lyon. Not. On the blue line, I will say this, the Buffalo Sabres are big on the blue line. So if the smaller Montreal Canadiens forwards had a hard time against Tampa Bay, it could be a long night certain nights, having to go up against some of the biggest guys on the back end. And Buffalo has defensemen who can move the puck, right? Like the Rasmus Dahlins of the world, the Bowen Byroms of the world. They can get the puck up ice. They can move it. Tampa Bay, I don't think, had a ton of those players. I don't think, like, Darren Radish could do it, yes. But I don't think, like, it's nowhere to the level of what Rasmus Dahlin can do. And, like, J.J. Moser had a good playoff run. Bowen Byram is better than him. So, defensively, the Montreal Canadiens are going to have to find space. I think the Montreal Canadiens forward group, though, is better. In one area particularly, the Montreal Canadiens dominated the face-off circle against Tampa Bay. It was a distinct stat that was mostly in their favor. That game was tied or within one goal for like 97% of the series. So the Canadiens are comfortable playing a close game. The Philip Deneaus of the world, the Jake Evans of the world, the same thing, like Nick Suzuki, the massive block at the end of Game 7. Those guys know what it takes to win faceoffs and dominate. The Buffalo Sabres are not a good faceoff team. I'm not telling you something that's an opinion. That's a fact. And it wasn't great in round 1 either. So if the Montreal Canadiens start with the puck a lot, good things are going to happen, right? They're going to be able to wait it out. They're going to be able to play their game, right? They're going to find opportunities. The Tampa Bay Lightning also have, I would say, like Anthony Cirelli, like did his job. I know sometimes people dunk on it and be like, why would he have been invited to Team Canada? That's exactly why. John Cooper made it a point to have Anthony Cirelli on the ice when Montreal's top line was there. And they had Montreal's top line had 1 point 5-on-5. They were efficient. Cirelli and the gang were efficient. The Buffalo Sabres have nobody like Anthony Cirelli. They don't. Tage Thompson is not that way defensively. Neither is Norris. Neither is Cousins. None of them. Nobody at the level of Cirelli or point defensively, I will say as well, right? Yanni Gourde is kind of he was okay, but Yanni Gourde has none of that offensive side to it. But again, the Montreal Canadiens have to win the details. And they demonstrated that they can do that in round 1. They're going to have to do it again. There are things that they're going to have to clean up. Obviously, we can't have a period where we're not shooting the puck at all. Because when Tampa Bay forechecked, it came in waves. And it was potent. And the Sabres, again, their offense can score goals. Don't get it twisted. If you don't think that they can dominate you offensively, we haven't been watching a lot. You got to come ready to start. Montreal Canadiens can't wait a little bit to get started. You got to come right out of the blocks hard. We'll see what the lineup looks like. I would hope that Arbor Xhekaj is in the lineup, but that means Jaden Strubl's out of it. So, again, that's a whole other conversation to be had. This series, I expect the first 2 games in Buffalo to be the hype is going to be there. The intensity is going to be there. And it's going the penalty minutes are going to be up. I don't think I'm telling you something you haven't heard before. I think there's going to be a lot of physicality to at least start. And then as the series goes on, nobody wants to make a boneheaded mistake or take a bad penalty. So everybody kind of calms down a little bit. They don't do anything dumb, right? But I think we're going to get a game right out of it. And again, important to this, the Montreal Canadiens went on the road and won 3 games in Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay was one of the best teams on home ice. That is tough to do. That's really, really tough. It's even harder in the playoffs. Even with a matchup that wasn't in their favor, they went on the road and they won games. Now, you want them to play better on home ice, right? That could solve a lot of issues. But the fact that you can go on the road into enemy territory and win, You can't disregard that. You can't throw it away. It's worth something. Again, Sabres did a lot of good things, but I'm going to give the edge to Montreal here. I'm giving them the edge in 6. If it goes to 7, it is what it is. It wouldn't surprise me, but I think we're going to see a balanced series. I think this comes down to the details, and I just believe that the Montreal Canadiens are going to be better suited to win those details than the Buffalo Sabres. It might might be a little bit of a learning curve for them. It also could be that the Montreal Canadiens run out of gas, right? After the first round that they had, they're not even going home, right? So they're staying in Tampa, I believe, today, Monday, and then they fly to Buffalo Tuesday. Like, they're not even going home. But again, we'll see what comes out of it. We'll see how they prepare. We'll see what Marty St. Louis got. But again, this is going to be a great series. But don't call me a homer because, again, I just believe the Montreal Canadiens are the better team. That's, you know what I mean? Sue me. There we have it, folks. That is the episode for today. That's what we got going on. We recapped everything that happened in the first round, gave you my predictions for round 2. The playoff schedule is going to be as followed, right? For the podcast, we're going to do the next episode will come at the beginning of the conference final. We'll break all that down and, have the best time in the world. But again, as always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. This is a blast. We had a ton to cover. Thanks for sticking around. If you haven't already, make sure you follow the podcast on YouTube at Slapshot Pod. Go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell. I appreciate you from now. Give me your picks as well in the comment section. I appreciate that all the time. Follow the podcast as well on TikTok. You can follow it as well on Instagram. Make sure you go ahead to X at Slapshot Podcast. You hit the link tree. You can find the podcast in all its audio forms, including everywhere you can follow it. Follow me on X at FuzzyChris91. I'm having a blast. The playoffs are here. We're having a good time. It'll be the summer's here. It's playoff hockey in Montreal. It couldn't be a better time. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to each other right before round 3, all right?